Welcome to The Passionate Atheist with Sally Hunt. On March 2nd, 2018, I was invited to appear on the Fox News show The Ingraham Angle to discuss my opposition as an atheist to U.S. government's endorsement of the motto, "In God We Trust." Here is the video of the Fox News segment along with my commentary.
Hundreds of people rallied this week in St. Louis in a suburb called Wentzville, and they did it to support a display of the national motto, "In God We Trust," which hangs in their city council chambers. A woman protesting the motto was escorted out of the council meeting last month for exceeding her time limit, but not before she made her point.
I did not exceed my time limit. Okay, Laura Ingraham, thank you. She introduces it already. We've got a lie. We've got inaccurate information. The mayor of Wentzville, Nick Guccione, cut me off at 4 minutes and 35 seconds, and he lied and he said, "Your 5 minutes is up." My 5 minutes was not up. Okay. This has created an atmosphere of hostility and intimidation toward those who don't believe in a higher power. I think that is important for everyone to recognize.
That woman, atheist activist Sally Hunt, is here tonight with her side of the story. Also joining us is Missouri State Senator Bob Onder. It's great to see both of you. All right, Sally, let's start with you, because that motto, "In God We Trust," really seems to send you over the edge, and I want to kind of figure it out. The understanding why you think it's the establishment of religion in the United States. Go ahead.
Let me just point out that she is starting this off by framing it in a way that makes me look like I am this crazy, over-emotional woman. You know, the way she says that motto sends you over the edge. But meanwhile, the clip that she just played of me speaking in Wentzville against this motto, this display, was completely calm. Did I look like I was sent over the edge? Or did I look like I was just calmly explaining why government endorsing this motto, "In God We Trust," is a problem and creates problems and is not okay? So just keep that in mind about the way she phrases this, to the way she sets it up.
Well, I didn't say that it is the establishment of religion, but it is certainly the endorsement and the advancement of religion by our government. So it should send everybody over the edge if they value the U.S. Constitution, and I do.
Which
it's very
part
important
of it?
to me.
Right. Which part of the Constitution do you feel this violates?
So the First Amendment Establishment Clause
right, which is
makes
why I
it
said
very clear,
religion.
and it's also being. Well, it has been also interpreted. The Supreme Court has also made it clear. If you look up, are you aware of the Lemon Test? You are. Okay, so
I am. Yeah, I clerked on the
Lemon
Supreme
Test,
Court. No.
Great. So then that's why I would think that you would also be upset about the endorsement and advancement of religion by our government, which is absolutely unconstitutional, because the motto, "In God We Trust," is about religion. There is no secular purpose.
What religion does it endorse?
So absolutely Christianity, and I am happy to explain why. It's definitely Christianity.
Okay, so let me just go through, for our viewers who don't understand the Lemon Test, which itself is a lemon, as Justice Scalia wrote. Here are the three things that the court just made up. They made this up, and they just said, okay, this is our test. The issue, the government action, has to have a primary effect that neither advances nor inhibits religion. It can't be an excessive government entangle in religion either, and it has to have primarily a secular purpose, a government action.
Well, let me point out right there that she did not disagree with me that the motto, "In God We Trust," is about religion. She is just asking what religion, because she doesn't think there's proof that it is any one particular religion. And I'm going to here point out to her that it's Christianity, but I want it to be noted that she did not disagree with me, that this is a religious motto. I mean, the motto is, "In God we trust." Again, what I said was, there's no secular purpose to that motto, and there's not. What secular purpose could there possibly be to saying, "In God we trust"? Trusting in God is the opposite of secular. Secular means no religion whatsoever, neutral in terms of religion. Government's supposed to be secular. And I talked about the Lemon test because that is the standard when it comes to interpreting whether or not something is in violation of the United States Constitution, of the First Amendment Establishment Clause. The Supreme Court has interpreted what was intended by the First Amendment Establishment Clause. And so the Supreme Court has interpreted that the purpose of the First Amendment Establishment Clause is to keep religion and government separate. Government cannot endorse or advance religion. And that's the purpose of the Lemon test, which just shows you that that was the intention behind the First Amendment Establishment Clause. That is why our founding fathers wrote it. That's the whole point of it. And so the Supreme Court, that's what they do, is they interpret the Constitution and they apply it to government actions and laws today. And so I just found that interesting that I pointed out there's no secular purpose behind the motto, "In God we trust." It is absolutely about religion. And Laura can't disagree with that because she knows that it's true.
Well, this was paid for by private money. Okay, this is private money paid for this. And my question to you is, how does this excessively entangle the government in religion, which is one of the prongs of the vaunted test? And then we got to get to the congressman.
Right. So, Laura, so the entanglement part does not have to be part of it. There are 3 parts of the Lemon test. And so it has to, an action by the government has to pass each one of those 3.
Okay, so is "In God we trust" on the coins? Is that also, you have to redo all the coinage in the country as well?
That absolutely, that's also unconstitutional.
Okay, so
that's the government.
The U.S. government, the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman, let's get to you on this.
Notice that she thought she could get me with the point that she was trying to make about entanglement. But I have already studied up on this, on the Lemon test, so I was not able, the gotcha question didn't work on me. So she asked me, how is this entanglement? How does this action of the display of "In God we trust" excessively entangle the government with religion? But it doesn't have to excessively entangle the government with religion in order for the act to be unconstitutional. And she thought I was stupid enough that I would be able to be tripped up on that. But I wasn't, and as soon as I pointed out that it doesn't have to be, the entanglement part doesn't have to be a part of the action, it has to pass all 3 parts of the Lemon test, which is true. So it has to be secular. It cannot endorse or advance religion. But as soon as I wasn't able to fall for her little trap, she changed the subject. And then now she's asking me about the coins having the motto.
In U.S. Congress, it has "In God we trust." In the House of Representatives, George Washington's great quotes on God and liberty and so forth. You can address, look, atheists are really unhappy about this, and they want something done.
They sure are, Laura.
Notice that she is not going to cut off Missouri State Senator Bob Onder once. So she kept cutting me off. She wouldn't let me finish my my statements, but she's going to let him finish.
As you know, the motto "In God We Trust" goes back many years. In fact, as far as we know, it first appeared in Francis Scott Key's national anthem. And in 1956, Congress unanimously, in both houses, endorsed a resolution making "In God We Trust" our national motto, and President Eisenhower signed that into law. And of course, we know it appears on our national coinage. It appears in the halls of Congress, both in the House and in the Senate. And in Missouri, it appears in our legislative bodies. And so there's nothing whatsoever wrong with Mayor Guccione and the city of St. Louis, city of Wentzville, deciding that they will accept that donation of the "In God We Trust" display for their city council chambers.
In fact,
I just want to point out that Senator Bob Onder did not really contribute anything there. He didn't offer anything. All he was saying was, well, we're already doing it, so of course it's fine. We already have the motto, "In God We Trust." So clearly it's okay. He's completely missing the point. Just because the United States government is doing something now, that doesn't mean that it is okay, or that it's the right thing to do, or that they should continue doing it. And that's the point, is that we should all be able to think for ourselves and question things. And in this particular case, it's not okay for the government to endorse and advance religion, which is what they're doing with the motto "In God We Trust." It is absolutely unconstitutional. It violates the Lemon Test, which means it violates the entire purpose behind the First Amendment Establishment Clause. But all Bob Onder is saying is, well, Laura, I know atheists are mad about this, but we're already doing it, so let's just keep doing it. There's no logic behind that. None at all. Let's think for ourselves. It's unconstitutional. It is the opposite of religious freedom. Religious freedom includes freedom from religion. There is no religious freedom without the freedom from religion, the freedom to leave religion at any point in time. Government cannot, should not ever endorse or advance religion. There is no secular purpose behind the motto "In God We Trust." None. It is 100% religious. There's no people who are secular who don't believe in a God. How would they trust in a God? It doesn't make sense.
in fact, Senator, a lot of other states are looking at this too, because what happens is you have a couple of atheist organizations, like anytime it's like Easter or Christmas, and
Right.
there's a manger scene within 500 miles of a public building, there'll be some atheists like, oh, this really upsets me, we've got to pull it down. And I think
Well,
what
that's right.
happens is,
What is the point of that? She's doing the voice, oh, this really upsets me. She's just mocking atheists, and she's not even listening to the actual point of what people have been saying. It's just incredibly dismissive. The point of what the atheist that she's referring to with manger scenes on government property, public property paid for with our tax dollars, with everyone's tax dollars, is it's about government. So it's not as though atheists are just complaining because they don't like manger scenes. If somebody chooses to have a manger scene on their private property, atheists are not complaining about that, Laura Ingraham. Atheists are fine with that. That's religious freedom. You have the right to put up a manger scene on your private property. Just like Laura Ingraham, you have the right to wear that shiny gold cross necklace like you do all the time on your Fox News show. That is your right. However, if government wants to hang a gold cross necklace on the wall, that's not okay. That would be government endorsing and advancing religion. There's a difference. And so the manger scene thing that she just brought up, it's not relevant, and she's trying to make atheists seem like they're just complaining just for the sake of complaining, but she's not hearing the reasons why, because she does not care, because she wants to force her religion on everyone else in America. She wants government to promote Christianity. She wants a Christian theocracy. The United States is not a theocracy. This is a secular country, a secular government. You have the right to believe in whatever religion you want. You have that freedom. But this is about government. Government must remain neutral. That's what this is about.
I think what happens is, and Sally, I want to get you in on this, our founding was a founding based on liberty. Liberty that came not from the government, but came from God. Thomas Jefferson said, 1781, on his notes on the state of Virginia, God who gave us life gave us liberty. And can the liberties of a nation be thought secure when we have removed their only firm basis, a conviction in the minds of the people that these liberties are a gift from God? Washington, of course, George Washington in his farewell address, also invoking God. Our framers were Unitarian. They didn't believe in necessarily organized religion, but God was important.
So why didn't they mention God one time in the entire United States Constitution? There's no mention of God. There's no mention of the Bible. There's no mention of Christianity. Not once. But the only time they mention religion is to say that there shall be no religious test for any elected leader. And by the way, I want to clarify why this is clearly an endorsement of Christianity. Because so the Jewish faith says that you do not print the word God. G-O-D would never be in the Jewish faith on a sign. Okay, so it's obviously not the Jewish God. And then Hindus believe in multiple gods. Buddhists do not believe in a God.
I don't hear a lot.
And then you have 22% of non-believers, secular people.
Right, but
she cut me off here, and what I am upset with myself that I didn't get to say and push in there was also about Muslims. So Muslims refer to God as Allah. And so the sign, "In God We Trust," is not about them, and Muslims know that, because Muslims would have a sign that says, that would say, "In Allah We Trust." And of course, this is the thing that I wish I would have been able to say. I wish I would have been able to ask her, "Hey, Laura, how would you feel about a sign that said, 'In Allah We Trust'?" Because I think we all know what the answer to that would be. She would obviously throw a fit if anyone ever dared to hang up any sort of display in a government building that said, "In Allah We Trust." But that's the thing, is I feel the exact same way about "In God We Trust" as she would feel about "In Allah We Trust." They're both not acceptable. They're both the endorsement and advancement of religion by our government. But again, it shows you that "In God We Trust" is definitely about Christianity. It's absolutely about Christianity. It is not a sign that represents any other belief, any other religion. And Laura knows that. Bob Onder knows that. Everyone knows that. And that is why the only people who I ever hear speaking up in defense of the motto "In God We Trust" are Christians. It's always Christians. This is absolutely a promotion, an endorsement, and the advancement of Christianity by our government. It is not acceptable at all. It is unconstitutional.
But most overwhelmingly Americans believe in God. I think it's like 89% or 88%, something like that.
But that doesn't matter.
Sally, you don't have to scream. We hear you. But I think the point is most people understand that our...
So right there, Sally, you don't have to scream. We hear you. Was I screaming? Was I screaming? Let's play that part one more time.
Or
so
88%, something
but
like
it
that.
doesn't. But that doesn't matter.
Sally, you don't have to scream. We hear you. But I think the point is most people understand that our country was founded upon this notion of liberty that came from on high. We are endowed by our Creator with certain inalienable rights.
You're only talking about that when it suits your interest. There's no mention of There's no mention of God in the entire U.S. Constitution.
Well, there's
and
no
again,
mention of,
the lemon
there's
test
no mention
is
of microwaves
clear.
in the Constitution. I mean, what does that mean? That doesn't matter.
What? What does that mean? There's no mention of microwaves. Well, microwaves hadn't been invented yet, Laura. But even if they had, it didn't make any sense.
If you're liberty, liberty comes from God, and the fact that atheists are so.
No.
I mean, I also.
So she's trying to say, oh, well, you know, most people believe that liberty comes from God. And our founders believed in God, and they believe liberty comes from God. None of that is relevant when we are talking about the U.S. Constitution and the role and function of government. Personal beliefs have absolutely nothing to do with whether or not it is acceptable and constitutional for the government to endorse and advance religion. And it is absolutely unconstitutional. She's trying to change the subject. The entire purpose of the Bill of Rights is to protect the minority from tyranny of the majority. When it comes to religion, it does not matter what the majority religious beliefs are. And that's always been how the United States has been. That is what the United States was founded on. It's not majority rule. Because if it were, this would be a Christian theocracy. We would be living in a theocratic nation. But our government is not theocratic. This is not a theocracy. We have a secular government, and government represents all types of people, all religious beliefs, and non-belief. Government is not supposed to pick a side. Government is supposed to always remain neutral when it comes to religion. I'm not advocating for a sign that hangs in government that says there is no God, or that says you should not believe in God, or in God none of us trust. I don't want a sign like that. I'm not trying to get government to promote atheism. I'm advocating for government remaining neutral. No endorsement of religion whatsoever. Just like was intended by our founding fathers in the U.S. Constitution by the First Amendment Establishment Clause, which has been interpreted by the Supreme Court. And you've got the Lemon test, and there have been many different cases. And that's what I was talking about. So Laura's trying to derail the conversation and talk about personal beliefs in a God, and it's beside the point. Government does not endorse a belief in God. They should not. They are not supposed to. And that's my point.
I think, Sally, like part of it is a lot of
This
atheists.
is not about. This is not.
They want to be closer to God, but they don't want to be closer. I don't know what it is, but it's like.
What does that mean?
We pray,
what do you mean?
Pray for people.
So I asked her, what does that mean? And she doesn't answer. She's not going to answer that question. I wish I would have said, Laura, we don't believe that a God exists. We can't want to be closer to God because we don't think there's such thing as a God. That makes no sense. It just shows how ignorant she is. She doesn't know what it means to be an atheist. You see, believers in religion, theists, are making a claim about a supernatural deity. They're making a claim that this supernatural deity, God, exists. And we atheists are simply saying, we have not seen the evidence of that God that you speak of. Show us evidence that can be observed, measured, tested, and retested again and again. And when we see that scientific evidence, then maybe we can talk about believing in this God. Then we will believe it. But until then, we don't have evidence. and therefore we do not believe in your claim of a God. So she says, we want to be closer to God. No, I don't want to be closer to God. I don't think there's such thing as a God, Laura.
We pray for people as Christians, and I think our friends in the Jewish faith and the Muslim faith pray for hearts to change. And I think that in this scenario right now,
you should be praying
atheists actually turn off a lot of people.
Okay, so right here, it's funny because it's just so absurd what she's saying. We pray for hearts to change. We pray, you know, and it's just so silly because it is not relevant to the discussion of government. So I was going to say something like, you should be praying for a government that follows the United States Constitution, but I stopped myself because I realized how silly it is for me to tell her that she should pray for anything, because praying doesn't do anything. And, you know, I don't believe that there's any point to praying. I think it's a colossal waste of time. It's a personal choice. You can pray if you want to, but it's just funny. She said that, and it has no relevance to the conversation. And, you know, at this point, I'm just so frustrated that she keeps derailing the conversation, and she won't focus on the U.S. Constitution, the First Amendment, the Lemon Test, and the role and purpose and function of government. I mean, I don't care what she prays for. She has the right to pray. This is about government.
Atheists actually turn off a lot of people because it's not hurting anyone to say, in God we trust. It's kind of respectful for our national tradition.
Do you realize that you're promoting hostility and prejudice and discrimination against atheists, agnostics, secular people throughout this country?
Our country has secular practices all over the place, but
So I'm glad that I pointed that out. I mean, I know she does not care that she's promoting discrimination and prejudice and hostility and resentment against atheists, agnostics, and all secular people, but she absolutely is. And that's what's so frustrating, is that that's all her agenda is to promote this superiority and supremacy of Christians, and also simultaneously promoting the inferiority of non-Christians, and specifically of atheists, agnostics, and secular people in general. And so here she's saying, you know, atheists rub people the wrong way. Gee, maybe that's because people like you who want a Christian theocracy where you can shove your religion down everybody else's throat and have the government endorse your particular religion, you don't like us because we're calling out how unconstitutional and un-American that is. We are pointing out that it is not okay and that it needs to stop, and that this is not a Christian theocracy. This isn't. And we are pointing that out, and you don't like it. And you wish we would know our place. You wish that we would just sit back and take it while you have your government endorse your particular religion at the expense of all others, of all other beliefs and non-belief. But no, Laura, we will not just sit back and take it. We will absolutely speak up and advocate for our rights and for the U.S. Constitution and for what the founding fathers wanted for this nation and what they founded this nation on. This nation is not a theocracy. It just isn't. Religious freedom is not only for Christians, Laura Ingraham. It's not. Religious freedom is for everyone, and it absolutely includes the freedom from religion, freedom to not believe in any religion. And what that means is that government does not pick a side. government must remain neutral. And that is what I'm going to continue speaking out about. And I don't care if I rub you the wrong way and you don't like me, because I'm pointing out that what government is doing is unconstitutional and is the opposite of what this nation was founded on. You cannot like me. I'm going to continue to talk about this.
You're dominating the conversation, so let's get the senator in on this. Senator?
Must, again,
Senator?
government must remain neutral.
Laura,
yeah, and we are neutral.
Laura,
we're not endorsing the Baptist faith by that by looking at that in God we trust. Go
it's
ahead.
Christianity, Laura.
I'm really glad I got that in there. It's Christianity, Laura, and she knows it is. It's her religion. It's Christianity. That's why she has no problem with it. If it were a different religion, if it were Islam, if it were Judaism, if it were Hinduism, Buddhism, you know, whatever, if it were atheism and the government were promoting, you know, the idea, if government were saying there is no God, she would definitely have a problem with it. It's Christianity. She knows that. She knows that.
Well, Laura, as you know, that's exactly right. When the Constitution says Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, an establishment of religion in its historical context meant that Congress would never make America a Baptist country or a Catholic country or a Buddhist country. But it didn't say that government has to have antipathy and hostility for religion, and that's what really Sally seems to advocate.
I'm not, but I'm not asking for that.
We're out of time. We're going to go to
Senator
hard break.
Onder, I didn't ask for that.
We'll have you back,
Government
Sally,
should remain neutral. And I did not go over my time. You did get that wrong.
I'm going to be neutral. I'm going to be neutral right now.
Okay, so as we have wrapped up the segment, you see Missouri State Senator Bob Onder saying that I am advocating for antipathy and hostility toward religion from our government. I mean, the man is not listening to a single word that I have been saying. It's incredibly frustrating. I mean, it's intentional. I mean, that's his agenda, is to make it seem like that's what I want, as if I want religion, or as if I want government to have antipathy and hostility toward religion. It is the silliest thing, because I have said over and over again, government must remain neutral. Government should never pick a side. Government should never endorse or advance any religion or lack of religion, non-religion. And that's the point, is I am definitely not advocating for government to endorse atheism. I don't want government to make a declaration that religion is bad, or that Americans should not believe in religion, or that there is no God, and that we should not trust in God, and that we should not believe in God. I don't want government to do that. I want government to be neutral, to not take sides, to be secular. That's what secular means, is just that government is free from religion. They don't endorse or advance any set of religious beliefs or non-belief. And that is how we are all guaranteed real freedom. Religious freedom includes freedom from religion, and that's what protects all of us. And so it does not matter that if the majority of people in this country believe in God. It does not matter if the majority of people in this country are Christian. That is not relevant to the United States Constitution and to the role and purpose of government. Government represents all people. We all have full freedom to believe however we choose and worship however we choose, or to not worship at all and not believe in any supernatural deity. So it's just really silly that we have Laura Ingraham and Bob Onder, who I'm not really sure what the point was in him even being there, except to take time away from me. And he was Laura Ingram's yes man. He was just there to agree with her. So, you know, it was 2 against 1. And they had not told me that he would be there. They invited me to come, and I thought it was just going to be an interview with me. But so be it. But it was just very frustrating that they did not actually respond to any of my points about the U.S. Constitution and about the role of government and the founding of this nation and the way the founding fathers established this country. And the United States Constitution lays it all out there. And like I'm glad that I pointed out that there's no mention of God or Christianity or the Bible in the U.S. Constitution, because if the founders wanted this to be a Christian nation, they would have definitely mentioned that in the Constitution, but it's not there. It's very clear that the First Amendment Establishment Clause is about the government being neutral, free from endorsing or advancing a religion, as it has been interpreted by the Supreme Court. And like I also have mentioned, I think it's important to remember as well that Thomas Jefferson wrote about the intentions behind the First Amendment Establishment Clause. Thomas Jefferson wrote that it was written to create a wall of separation between church and state, and that the Treaty of Tripoli, written by John Adams, explicitly said that the United States is not a Christian nation. So everyone needs to do their research and study up on U.S. history, and they need to understand that this nation was founded on being a secular government, a government free from religion, separation between church and state. Government is not supposed to endorse or advance any religion or lack of religion. Government remains neutral. So thank you for watching today. I appreciate it. Please subscribe to my channel, Sally Hunt, the Passionate Atheist. I appreciate it, and thank you for your time. Catch you next time. And please also support me by donating on Patreon, patreon.com/Sally Hunt. I would really appreciate it.